sorry again for more technical difficulties. We just can't get our microphones to work ever. Okay. Welcome to Cooks, Books, and Things. Why did we even call it that? It's so hard to say it sometimes.
We can just call it CBT.
Okay. Welcome to CBT. We are doing something a little bit different today. Instead of cooking, we are actually going to review The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Actually, I shouldn't even say review. We're just going to discuss it. We're not like professional critics or anything. So
We're just going to talk about our feelings.
yeah, we're
And
basically going to talk about
we
it.
have a couple of discussion topics that are inspired by the book. So it should be fun. You don't have to have read the book yet. You could just follow along and we'll talk about it.
Yes, there is going to be a spoiler alert though, because we will probably talk about things that happen in the book and probably the ending too, because I have so many feelings about the ending. So if you are planning to read the book, maybe like don't watch the live stream and catch us on YouTube later when we do the edited version.
Yeah, maybe some people like to know the ending
But
before they read the book.
Yeah, if you do like to know the ending, like I do, because I have major anxiety about how things end. I can't just follow the journey.
Don't tell me you read the end of the book before you finished it.
No, I didn't, but I did try
You're not one of those, are you?
I did try to like find a plot summary. There was no cliff notes, sorry. Well, anyways, yeah, I'm sorry we look kind of rough. Like last night was very rough, so I'm still hungover, but also still drinking.
Cheers.
So, cheers. Yay. Okay.
All right.
So, I said I was gonna look up like some stuff about the author, but I failed and didn't. But V.E. Schwab also, so I'm gonna do it real quick on my phone right now, because I'm a cheater. But she also writes by Victoria Schwab. So she goes by both names, and she's written like a trilogy called The Shades of Magic, which we haven't read because we didn't even know about her until this book. But she's 34, so she's my age. So congratulations to her for being a published and successful novelist.
And it's actually super well written.
Yeah.
I mean, I have all of these tabs. All the things that excited me. Just saying.
And not just like well written in that the plot was excellent, but her prose is really, really good. So I have tabs all around here of actually just sentences that really like spoke to me.
Yeah. So well put together and just beautiful sentences, and it's just sometimes just 1 to 2 sentences that describe the scenery, the experience, and it was just so concise and beautiful. It was
a great book. Okay, so do you want to like just start with summarizing the book a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's summarize it. We'll let you summarize it because I have a goldfish brain, and my summary would be like 2 sentences.
So we actually finished reading this book like I think a month ago, and we were just like, we need to
hurry the fuck up because my memory is very, very faint. Like I literally watched The Black Widow twice in a week, and I laughed at the same spots and I cried at the same spots, and like it's like a whole new movie for me every time I watch it. I'm like.
You also have a tendency to fall asleep during the movie.
Yeah, but I didn't fall asleep once. It was a good movie.
Like, we watched, what's that show? The Haunting of Hill House?
Yeah, Haunting of Hill House.
We watched The Haunting of Hill House, and we still don't know what's behind the red door because we've fallen asleep every single time.
Yes, every time.
And, I mean, tequila doesn't help, so there's that.
I mean, the tequila and the heavy snacking, it really does put someone to sleep.
Like, that one time we got 9 pizzas.
Yeah. Okay, that was like between 7 girls, but we still got 9 pizzas.
So that was the Haunting of Hill House viewing, right? So
that was one of the times.
Oh, one of the times.
And I think the second time we tried, it was just me, you, and Sam. So it was just the 3 of us. And we still fell asleep.
Yeah, we don't know. We still don't know what's.
Not that it wasn't a good show. It's a great show. Just it's the tequila and the heavy snacking.
Yeah. Anyway, so I digress.
Go on.
But
you summarize. I'll just interject and be like, "Remember that time?"
Okay. All right. Yes, we'll do that then. Okay. So basically, this book is about a girl named Addie LaRue, who. So the book is great in that it spans 300 years, but you're not like, oh my god, this book is 300 years long, like it's such a long and tedious book. Mm-hmm. It's not. She jumps back between the past and the present a lot. So basically, Addie LaRue was born in a small village in France in 17. No,
she talk about her birthday.
No, she actually makes the deal in 17 something. So she was born in like the late 1600s. So we meet Addie, and she's at 23. So she's 23 years old, and she basically is considered an old maid for 23 for her village. And so she's being forced to become a second wife to this man whose first wife died, and he has like 4 children or something, and one is a baby because the wife died in childbirth. And
look at my goldfish brain like, oh my god, yeah. Tell me more, okay? I don't remember that.
Doesn't remember anything.
I remember the general idea. Yeah, she was forced to get married, and she really didn't want to.
Yeah, and
she
the
just
thing
wanted
is,
to be a free spirit.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, she's not only is she being forced to get married, she's being forced to get married to someone who's twice her age, because the guy was like 50 something.
Yeah.
And
because she's an old maid, I mean, obviously at 23.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Why weren't you married already? And she's actually turned down marriage proposals a few times, so it wasn't like she doesn't have prospects, but like Julia was saying, she just wants to live, this free-spirited life, and she didn't want to get married. And then finally at 23, like, her parents were like, okay, bro, like, we can't take care of you anymore, you gotta go get married. And the book does this great thing of actually introducing to us why she has such a free spirit, and it's because her dad is a carpenter, and ever since she was a child, he would take her with him to, like, basically their town. Yeah, their town to, like,
market.
To sell his wares. And I guess, like, what's the town that they go to? It
started with an M.
No, Le Mans.
Le Mans.
Yes. So he takes her to Le Mans in his cart to sell his wares, and there, I mean, it's obviously a larger town than this small village that she lives in, and she's just like, oh my god, this is great. And then at a certain age, I think at around 10 or 12, her mom was like, you're too old to be doing this. You need to stay home. You can't go with your dad anymore. And that really just crushed her, because while she was there, her dad would buy her charcoal and paper, and she would create drawings. And so this girl is just like, she's very whimsical. She lives this life of like dreaming of so much more, and then she's getting forced to get married at 23. And so another like important character, which leads up to this deal that she makes, is Estelle, who's this old lady in the village. And Addie kind of like views her as sort of a witch, because like she prays to different gods. Like, she's not Catholic at all, so there's like some religious undertones in here. And so she doesn't pray, like, she prays to the old gods is what she calls it. And Estelle, basically, she hangs out with Estelle a lot, and she kind of want to just live the life that Estelle lives. She views that as a great life.
Because she's free-spirited, she believes whatever she wants to.
She's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, she really does not give a fuck what other people think. She has a mind of her own, and she's not forced to do anything that she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Estelle basically teaches Addie how to pray to the old gods to get things that you want. And her deal is that if you pray to the old gods for something, you have to have something valuable to give to them. Like, you have to give a part of yourself to them in order to receive whatever it is that you want. And then her final sort of lesson about all of this is that to never, ever, ever pray to the gods after dark. Because she's like, the ones who answer after dark are trouble.
Yeah, they're troublesome.
So leading up to her wedding, Addie is like throwing things in the river, like praying to the river gods and whatever gods would hear her and saying, I don't want to get married. Please get me out of here. Please, please, please. And no one ever answers her. So on the day of her wedding, she gets desperate. And as they're walking her to the church to get married, she goes, oh, hold up. I forgot something. I'm just going to run back and get it real quick. And her dad was like, really?
Sus.
But then I think it was Estelle who was like, just let her do it. Like, just let her go get it by herself. She desperately basically runs into the woods
in her wedding dress
and digs a hole and buries her most valuable belonging, which was a wooden ring that her dad had carved for her a long time ago. So she buries that and she starts to pray. The thing is, she didn't notice when the sun went down.
Yeah,
when
it was getting a little dusky.
Yeah, and she was just so desperate, and she prays, and someone answers, and then trouble.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Right. First, it's like a cloud of black smoke that appears, and then slowly this black smoke transforms into this figure that she has imagined, like this man that she has imagined and drew her entire life. Like, this man is a man, like a figment of her imagination. And they described him a few times, not in great detail, but just that he has like really green eyes.
He has really green eyes. They change, like the clarity, the depth, the whatever. His green eyes change based on his moods. What else I can gather is dark, like wavy hair, sharp jaw, kind of a sharp nose. He's very handsome. It's basically a guy that she's just dreamed up and she's been fantasizing about since she was young.
Yeah. Not so many words. V.E. Schwab is like, she has also masturbated to this man.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was like a really like subtle but hot sentence about her masturbating to this man.
Yes, there was.
I wish I had tabbed it. I actually gone through my tabs last night and I was like, where was that masturbation scene? Where was it?
It was literally like a sentence, but it was very hot.
Yeah.
It was just
I mean,
like,
the man is hot. I can tell.
I know. Like, we were thinking of who we would cast
Yeah.
to play. Okay, so she calls him Luke. And it took me like a really long time to kind of make the connection that it was probably like Luke as in short for Lucifer.
Yeah, there's a scene where he asks like, or one of them asks like something about, no, he asked for a name because you never call me anything.
Yeah.
And for a while, she just called him the stranger. And she was like, well, I have a name in mind, but I don't want to, give you a name because it gives you power, gives you some sort of emotional connection or whatever. And then he was like, come on, give me a name. Give me a name, baby.
Yeah.
And she was like, Luke. And it was like, as in Lucifer. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. He had transformed himself into this fantasy person that she's always thought of, which already is like super sus, right?
Yeah.
If someone like knows that much about you, like your most intimate dreams and fantasies and stuff, like maybe don't make a deal with him / ask him for anything.
He shows up and he looks like your dream man, like
yeah,
somebody was watching.
Yeah, like creeper. So they go back and forth, right? It's never like straight out like, yo, help me out, this is my wish. No, he actually toys with her a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's like a little bit of flirting like on his end. She's just kind of like, who's this dude? And then finally she makes her wish. And like, I kind of want to, you don't realize it till later, but wording basically plays a very important role in everything that Addie does.
Yeah.
And we kind of know this ahead of time because it's kind of like one of those rabbits, or was it the monkey's paw kind of deal, where you make a wish, but you know, it always comes out like really bad. It's not how you had
wording
envisioned.
of the deal is very important because there are a lot of ways where he can twist it, and then they actually do talk about different deals that he's made and how he has twisted it.
Here. So I'm going to read it to you guys real quick. The shadow cuts her off impatient. What use is it to tell me what you do not want, right? So she's at first just telling him that all the things that she doesn't want to be like. She doesn't want to belong to anyone. She doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to live her life just in Beyond. And then he goes, tell me instead what you want most. She looks up. I want a chance to live. I want to be free. She thinks of the years slipping by. Blink and half your life is gone. I want more time. He considers her, those green eyes changing shade, now spring grass, now summer leaf. How long? Her mind spins. 50 years? 100? Every number feels too small. Ah, says the darkness, reading her silence. You do not know. Again the green eyes shift, darken. You ask for time without limit. You want freedom without rule. You want to be untethered. You want to live exactly as you please. Yes. So she says that she wants time without limit, freedom without rule, and to be untethered and to live exactly as she pleases. So that is basically what she asked for. And so the guy, so Luke actually declines at first, right? And he's kind of like,
what's in it for me?
Yeah. He's like, what's in it for me?
Get?
And he's just like, I'm not a freaking genie. Like, I'm not here to just fucking answer to your wish, you know? And basically the reason he's doing that is because he wants her to agree to sell her soul to him.
Yeah.
And so she ends up saying, I will give you anything, right? You want an ending, she says, then take my life when I am done with it. You can have my soul when I don't want it anymore. And then he smiles, and he basically kisses her to seal the deal, and he says, done. Right? I love that she takes the lore. I mean, like, deals with the devil has, like, gone on for, you know, the longest time. Like, we hear it in lore all the time, right? Like, the Crossroad Demon, like, Crossroad Blue, you know, we hear about people selling their souls for a talent. Like,
for fame, for a certain amount of years, things like that.
Yeah, so I just love that she took this and kind of ran with it. And basically what ends up happening is Addie rues the fact that she makes this deal, because almost immediately she sees the effects of the deal. She basically comes home and her parents scream because they think a stranger is in their house.
So a part of the deal is her not belonging to anyone either, or anyone knowing her. So her life was completely erased. You know, her parents don't know her. Her parents never had a child. Estelle doesn't know her. And people forget her.
Yeah. And the kicker is people forget her almost as soon as they close a door or go into another room.
Or just turn around. If they turn, it's like that feeling where you're like, I need to go to the kitchen to get and you go to the kitchen and you're like, what was I here for?
Yeah.
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 And then it's like, they'll turn around and be like, who are you?
Yeah.
And she would just, in their mind, appear there, and they've never met her, never talked to her.
Yeah. And so, like, if you really think about the implications of this, V. Schwab actually, like, goes into these implications. But if you think about it, I read the part about her parents not remembering her. I was like, oh, God, how is she going to hold down a job?
Yeah. You can't make money.
Yeah.
You can't have a house? Like,
yeah.
You can't rent anything?
Yeah, like so there's a scene where she runs away from the village, and she basically makes it to Le Mans, and she has basically like pennies in her pocket, and she tries to rent a room for the night, and the lady is like, you have to pay up front, and her heart basically just sinks because she knows almost immediately that she's gonna lose that money. But like she's just like hoping that doesn't happen, so she pays this lady, like goes into the room and barely has time to take off her coat, and the lady like kicks the door in and is like,
who are you?
Yeah, what are you trying to like stow away and like
Yeah.
steal this room for the night, and then kicks her out, and she basically loses like her last few pennies that she had.
Yeah.
And so that really kind of took me, because I was like, okay, how far are you gonna go with this,
Yeah.
Miss Schwab? Like how
she went far. She went real far. There was, I mean, she has no way of really making money long term. So short term, she went down to the fishing docks and
sold her wares,
sold her body. And it was disgusting because she described it, and the author described it very well, how horrible the experience was for her. Nothing like what she had imagined with her fantasy man, it being romantic, and that's just how she lost her virginity. She sold her body to obtain some money just so she can have something for food.
Yeah.
Because she can spend the money for food, and then they could give her the goods immediately. But, you know.
Yeah, but if they turned around or something.
Yeah, it would just be over for her. She did a lot of, the author did give us small bits of the things that she could do throughout the book. So you don't know up front what exactly she can and cannot get away with. But she learns quickly that stealing is something that she can do, because she can steal a piece of bread and run off with it, and people won't remember it. They'll be like, did I put on a second piece of bread on the stove or not?
Yeah. So I actually made, as I was reading through the book, I made a list of things that she couldn't do and a list of things that she could do. And she becomes very, very clever in manipulating things so that she can get away with stuff, or basically get to whatever purpose she has in mind. And I just thought it was like so great. But then at the same time, you like have 300 years, so you
have 300 years to perfect your art.
Yeah. The things that she can't do, first of all, she can't even say her own name.
Yeah.
And so she definitely can't tell her story. When at first people would ask her, who are you, what's your name, she would try to say Addie LaRue, and it would just get caught in her throat, and it just won't come out. And like Miss Schwab does like a great description of how that happens, like the very first time. And so from then on, she just started making up names for herself. She can't leave a mark, like literally can't.
Yeah, she can't write. If she tries to write, it just disappears. She can't draw. She can't spill anything, right? If she spills something, it just disappears off the ground.
Yeah.
But she can consume.
Yes.
So
yes,
she can spill it and it won't return back into the bottle.
But it will disappear. So metaphorically, she can't leave any kind of legacy because she can't get pregnant, right? She can't get pregnant, and she can't even tell her story. So there's just like no way for her to leave any kind of legacy at all. She basically does become invisible, guys.
Her appearance doesn't change, which, I mean, honestly, not a bad thing. I mean, to be 23 forever?
Yeah, seriously. And she can't get sick.
She can't get sick. She can't die. She can't gain weight.
Yeah.
I mean...
She can't get drunk, though, so that's like, I don't even know. I know...
Can she?
She can't. She can consume as much alcohol as she wants, and she can't get drunk.
She can't get drunk.
So I was just like...
So she'll just drink a bottle of wine and be like, whatever. And I'm like...
Yeah.
Do I want to just drink? Well, you can't get hungover, so
there's that. But then, like,
then
what's the point? Yeah. She can't hold on to any kind of trinkets or personal belongings, so she can't own anything.
Yeah. She can for a little bit. Like, she can hold on for it a little bit, but she's learned throughout her life that it just won't stay. Like, everything she tries to keep it'll somehow break, disappear, or some unfortunate incident will happen and it would just be gone. Like, there was a time period where she had like a small shack and she was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden it burns down.
Yeah.
She's like, well, that was a great week. But there are a couple things that have stayed with her. The wooden ring that Luke gave to her, which is kind of like a symbol of the deal.
The deal.
Like, she can literally throw it away and somehow it ends back in her pocket.
Yeah.
It's like a Ouija board.
Yeah. Creepy.
And then there's the leather jacket. Do you remember how the leather jacket... There's this leather jacket that she always wears. I forget the story of that.
I don't remember. I didn't even remember about the leather jacket.
There's one thing that I remembered, but only halfway remembered. There's a jacket that she wears, and it's really cool.
Yeah, she looks... So the author, like, does a really great job in making her invisible to us as well.
Yeah.
We only get, like, very short, small descriptions of what she looks like. So really, all we know about her is she
like
has...
the entire book to get crumbs, like little crumbs. The more you know about her and her abilities, you get a tiny little pinch of what she might look like.
Yeah. Basically know she has brown hair.
Yeah, brown wig. I actually tabbed
Okay.
the part where it describes, it's the very end, once we know like the full Addie, of what she actually looks like.
Yeah.
But I just also wanted to point out that I wanted to say that look at how cool this book is. It's got 7 stars, which indicates her 7 freckles.
It's also in the
And the
cover.
front of the book.
I don't know.
We
if you
got
guys
7
can see
stars, and she's got 7 freckles, and that becomes a major theme in the book. But should we talk about what she actually looks like?
that. Yeah, we can talk about
Okay,
her
page
looks.
430.
430. Okay. Yeah.
430. Brown curls and a heart-shaped face, 2 wide eyes, 7 freckles like stars.
Yeah.
That's all we know about this girl. Oh, and she's got a timeless look.
Yes. I mean, if you've been living for 300 years, you won't be timeless.
You're gonna have to adapt.
Yeah. But so the things that she can do, she can lie.
She can lie.
She becomes a really good liar. Has her qualms at first about lying, but then it just gets easier and
Same with
easier.
stealing.
Yeah.
At first she felt bad, but then it's like, well, I need to do this to live.
Yeah.
And I don't do this to be malicious.
Yeah. So she can steal. She also can heal. So there's a scene where like the leather jacket. She stole it from the stable, the horse stable.
Uh-huh.
And she gets stabbed.
Oh, right, yes.
As she's running away. Because she was trying to steal not just the jacket, but she was also trying to steal any money that was inside.
It was like something that she was...
And she was trying to steal a horse too, I think, because she had been walking the whole time. And the thing is, she can feel pain. So, like, she, for a while, walked without shoes, and, like, her feet were ripped up. They were jacked up.
This was in the very, very beginning when she was still trying to figure out how to survive.
Yeah. And she still felt the pain of the feet, but then, like, almost immediately it would start to heal. And so the same with this jacket she was trying to steal, she ends up getting stabbed, and almost immediately, first of all, the blood disappears.
Yeah.
And then secondly, the wound, like, healed itself. And so, she can't cut her hair.
Really?
Yeah. She cut her hair and it came back to the same length. It doesn't grow any, but it doesn't...
So, her appearance stays the same.
She just stays the same. She can't cut her hair. So then my nasty perverted ass wrote here that since she can heal, is she still a virgin? LOL.
I'm trying to remember how many... Did she tell... I'm pretty sure she sold her body a couple of times. And did she say she was a virgin multiple times, or was it just the one time?
Just the one time.
Okay.
But so... But I was like, look, like, her hymen will just, like, reconstruct itself after every time. So
you can charge a higher price.
I was like, so she's still a virgin. Wrote that note in there, LOL.
gonna like look at me laughing at my own notes.
I know. Sorry, I'm dumb. So actually, I'm gonna get back to the whole like prostitution thing in a little bit because there was a scene that I really loved. But she also remembers everything from the point when she makes the deal on. So she remembers everything for 300 years.
Like all the details.
Yeah, like everything.
And she almost wishes that she can forget.
Yeah.
Because she remembers all the heartache, all the trauma that she went through, and she just can't forget any of that.
Yes. But anything of her life before she makes the deal, she can't remember. So it's kind of like, what?
Well, I mean, I guess she remembers certain things.
Like little bits and pieces.
Little bits and pieces.
But she does say that over the years, it starts to become more of a blur. Yeah.
I mean, after 300 and something years, you're going to have to forget something.
Yeah.
I mean, pre-deal.
Pre-deal. And then she finds out that she has the ability to leave a mark. But she doesn't find this out for, like, I think at least 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
That she is able to whisper ideas to other people, and that becomes a thing.
That's how she... Actually, she got the idea from Luke. I marked the location in the book, but he tells her ideas are wilder than memories. And at first she was like, is he like
trying to taunt me?
Is he jabbing me? And then she actually takes the idea and she was like, interesting. So the way she used that was, I think she felt it was like also a jab back at him.
Yes.
Like, you're gonna like fuck with me. Now I'm gonna leave a mark because you taunt me for not being remembered all the time.
Yeah.
And he taunts her to get her to give up, basically.
Yeah.
And so she used his words against him and then started whispering and influencing just anyone that she meets, anyone that she thinks could leave a mark. Artists, musicians, architects, just people in general. She helped. Music.
Yeah.
A lot of songs are written about her.
So we, at the beginning of the book, meet a guy named Toby.
Yeah. Toby.
Yeah. So Toby is like apparently super hot.
I know exactly who I would cast for Toby. So Toby was actually probably the first person she had described, or the author had described to me, like in
very
detail.
vividly. Yeah.
He's got a slender body.
Yeah.
Sharp jawline, sharp nose, green eyes, wavy brown hair.
Yeah.
So I would cast, and I don't even know if I'm saying his name right.
Okay.
Timothy.
Oh, Chalamet?
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, just because he was, like, dreamy and slender and just, like, beautiful and kind of, like, ethereal.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's who I would cast for Toby. And most of the men that she meet throughout the books that she actually have, like, relationships with are very reminiscent of her Luke.
Yeah.
The sharp features, the green eyes, the wavy brown hair.
Yeah.
So
Toby is a struggling songwriter who works at a bar singing there, and she goes to this bar so if you're wondering how she can actually have relationships with these people, which she does throughout the 300 years, and not just with men, she sleeps with women too. Like she's like I don't give a fuck, love is love, right? She's just really trying to find love and to find someone who will remember her. Meets a person, gets to know them, sleeps with them. The next morning, there's an awkward exchange because they're like, oh my gosh, I must have been so drunk that I don't even remember. Yeah. And then the very next night, she goes back to that same place, but now she is armed with knowledge about this person, and she uses that to gain more intimacy with them.
Yeah. And
she does this every single night until she feels like, well, later I found out, like, until she has left her mark. And then she moves on. So with Toby, she does this. She falls in love with him for 2 weeks. And basically every single night as he's, getting drunk, she's introducing more bars of music to him. Yeah. And the next day he wakes up and he's just like, man, I don't know why, but this song has just been, like,
on my mind.
Yeah. And
or
then
he'll write down the notes.
Yeah.
Write down the words. And she helps him create this beautiful song.
Yeah, and apparently he becomes famous for this song later on. So that was his, like, that was how he kind of shot up in stardom. When he was talking about how he wrote this song, he was like, I'm writing this song about a girl that I've never even met before, but she comes to me at night, and she is basically the inspiration for this song. And then we as a reader are like, quite literally, she is the inspiration for this song, bro. Cause
we know about this.
Yeah.
In this book here.
Yeah. And then there's like a scene where she takes, and we'll introduce Henry later, but she takes Henry to this bar called the Fourth Rail.
Yeah. It's like a big nightclub bar thing.
Yeah, it's like an underground nightclub, sort of. Like, it's apparently very cool, very retro, like has, you know, it's like very avant-garde for New York, and
it's like a section of the subway that's been like shut down.
Yes. Yeah. And like there's like really cool things about it. Like, for instance, you can stand on one side of the subway and then the other person can stand on the other side, and if you whisper, apparently the way it's built, like the curvature of it, you can hear the whisper on the other side. So that was like a really cool thing. Well, we as a reader knows that she was basically the inspiration for Fourth Rail.
The muse for a lot of these things.
She whispered the idea to an architect or like a businessman or something.
I think it's like a businessman looking for something to build.
Yeah.
He was looking for an inspiration.
Yeah. So that was basically how she leaves her mark. And then throughout the book, we also see that she dates or sleeps with a lot of artists, and she gets featured in a lot of their art.
And it's always like, I've never met this person, but they inspired me.
Yeah.
Or they don't remember, or it's like an unnamed piece of artwork.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, her face is always like blurry, or
she can't take photos either.
Yeah. But the one thing that is very clear on each of these art pieces are her 7 freckles that are on her face. And so that becomes a running theme throughout, like, all of the centuries and all the artists. How do they keep drawing basically the same person, right? To go back, I just thought this was really clever, and it stood out to me. To go back to the whole prostitution thing, she very quickly, so she actually only ends up doing it like maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Then she basically realized that even though she couldn't leave a mark, as in she couldn't drug someone, she could get them to drug themselves. So like there's a scene, and I even wrote it down on page 115. So she will like lure Johns in, and then she'll drug them, and she'll just rob them, and she'll run off. And they think like they're, you know, about to sleep with a prostitute, but she'll be like, how about we have a glass of wine first?
Yeah.
And then she'll drug them, or they drug themselves.
Because she can't actually put the drugs in the wine.
Yes. If she puts it in, then it will just disappear.
Yeah.
But if she can manipulate them into putting the draft into the wine and drinking it, then it actually works. And then she robs them and she runs away. So she ends up not really like prostituting for very long, but she
finds her way around.
Yeah. This entire book was just about this girl's like her struggle for survival. And then after she learned to survive, her struggle to leave a legacy or a mark in any kind of way that she can. It was like the first half of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the book goes from present day to past. And then you learn a little bit about her between each time period.
Yeah. So there are like 2 very major relationships in the book. And they're almost parallel, but, well, they're parallel but also opposite. So her relationship with Luke, let's talk about that first. Because this is a relationship that spans 300 years. And they have a standing date every like 10 years or something, right?
It was like 5?
5 or 10 years, something like that.
They'll come back and visit her, and she expects it too. Like, she knows it's coming.
Yeah, and it's always on the anniversary of their deal. Doing is he's just coming back and saying, hey, you give up?
Yeah.
You give up yet?
Hey.
I want your soul. You give up? You know? And every single time, he kind of just gets her into, like, a fucking fury, and every single time after that, she's very stubborn. She's like, no, fuck you, I'm not done yet. You can't have my soul yet.
She gets even more determined to live a longer life and to stick it to him.
Yeah. But the thing about Luke though, is that without him, she probably wouldn't have like traveled as much and seen as much as she did. So it takes her like 50 years or something before she even leaves France.
Was it 50? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't argue. I don't remember.
I think
it takes her a long time.
She was like just traveling around France for a while. Like she lived in Paris for a while. Like first she went to Le Mans because that's all she ever knew outside of Lyon.
Yeah.
Then she like travels to Paris and lives there for a while.
Yeah.
And then Luke, on one of their anniversaries, just like plucked her.
Yeah.
And took her to Germany.
Yeah. And the way he does it is he like freaking wormholes her.
Yeah.
To a different place. Like she like falls into darkness, and then she ends up in like a different country. He went to Germany, and then eventually he took her to Italy. Right?
Yeah.
Dumps her. And he's like, good luck.
Yeah. And
enjoy Germany.
So Germany, basically, the reason he took her to Germany was because, first of all, she pissed him off really badly.
Yeah.
I don't remember what she said to him, but she pissed him off really badly. So he takes her to Germany so that she can watch him reap Beethoven's soul. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh shit. And this is the first time, I think, in their entirety of knowing each other that she sees Luke's real wrath.
Yeah, and his powers.
Right? So he's not just like some suave, debonair, black, shadowy figure that's always well dressed, that's just here to like taunt her. He like actually transforms into some sort of beast, and he basically just plucks, like he rips Beethoven's soul out of his body in front of her, and then was like, all right, peace out, bitch, enjoy Germany.
Yeah. He was like, did you see that? Did you see it? Did you see all my powers?
Did you see it?
I can do this to you, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So watch your mouth.
I thought that was cool because in this book, it's insinuated that a lot of the famous people that we've known throughout history are famous because they made a deal with Luke. So Beethoven being one, and then later there's like some
Sinatra.
There's like inference to Sinatra being another, but that was basically the first time she leaves France. And then she returns to France, I guess, for a little bit.
Yeah. I think she goes back home it was like 50 years or something.
Yeah.
She goes back home just to visit.
Yeah.
And see what's changed and things like that.
Yeah.
To see her parents.
Yeah.
And then after they were gone, obviously, she just came back just to see the development and to see what it was like.
Yeah. The last time she's ever in France again was during the French Revolution. Mm-hmm. And like she's been able to dress up like a boy whenever she needed to, but on that day she gets caught and basically Luke saves her ass. Like he plucks her again and like takes her to Italy. That was
I think that was when he dumped her in Italy.
Yeah. So throughout like her relationship with Luke, it started out as hate.
Yeah.
And then I told Julia I didn't see this coming, but she saw it coming.
It was hot also.
I
already marked the spot where it was like really hot.
Like turned into a relationship because I guess
it was a love-hate relationship. Like she loved him but also hated him at the same time.
Yeah, she hated him for doing what he did to her. But then at some point I think she develops a relationship with him, and I think it partly was out of necessity because basically he was the only one who remembered her, and he was the only one that she could think about or talk about about everything with. Mm-hmm. So it develops into a relationship at some point where he starts laying it on thick that he he's interested in her. Like she is, at first she was just this thing that he was toying with, but like she's turned into a worthy opponent. And he like started to be attracted to her, and they end up having a relationship for 10 years or something.
Yeah, it was quite a while. She did develop like just these, I guess you would call it love. Like she actually really loved the passion and like the way they just fit together.
It was friggin' hot.
Yeah.
Those scenes were like really hot. I don't even know.
Let me read you.
Okay, go. Was it their first time when they like?
I don't know if this was when she imagined her fantasy with him.
Okay.
My love, the stranger said, pressing her down into the bed, black curls tumbling into gem green eyes.
Yes.
My love, she breathed as he entered her, body parting around his solid strength. He pushed deeper and she gasped, biting her hand to keep from sighing too loud. Her mother would say that a woman's pleasure was a mortal sin, but in those moments, Addie didn't care. In those moments, there were only the longing and the want and the stranger, whispering against her skin as the tension deepened, the heat building like a storm in the bowl of her hips. And then in her mind, Addie would pull his body down on hers, drawing him deeper and deeper until the storm broke and thunder rolled through her. That's what she imagined sex to be like with the stranger.
God, when was the last time I had it?
I know. Like the thunder rolled through her body.
The storm fucking broke. Like really?
So the author writes really fucking well.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And then like
and it's not a sex book, we promise.
No, it's really not. But it has some really hot scenes in it. And when I read, I don't even know why I thought this was like a young adult novel because I was.
What are we calling young adult?
Like Hunger Games.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ish,
no.
And like the
high school.
Like younger, I like Hunger Games.
Because I thought we were young.
I mean, we're a mature young.
I still feel young.
Yeah, but it definitely is like a drama novel, like adult fiction novel.
Yeah.
So she like has this relationship with Luke. A relationship with Luke. I mean, there was a lot of sex. I'm gonna say 10 years because I remember it happened in the 70s and it ended in the 80s, 1970s to 1980s.
Okay.
And he gifts her a house in New Orleans.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I was just, my heart just kind of like swooned because I was like,
this is yours.
dude, this is like your fucking dream man right here, Addie. Like, he just gifted you a fucking house.
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like an awesome house.
Like,
too.
in the French Quarter. And they, like, see each other. Like, she describes, like, at first he would just come by, like, every month or so. And then it started to become more and more frequent until she was, like, waking up with him every morning. So you can see that she was starting to, like, let her guard down and be really vulnerable around him. And they have this relationship for 10 years, and then one morning in the morning that she felt like probably the happiest, they're talking and he's like, you can have this forever, you know, she was talking about how she's never owned anything before, and now she has a house, a place to call home, like some place that she can come home to. And he was like, you can have this forever, you know. And she was like, I can. And then he was like, sure, all you have to do is give up. And I don't know if he meant it. So here's the thing. You can never tell if Luke was playing the long con or if he really did fall in love with her. Like, you can't ever, you don't ever know for sure.
Well, Addie believes that he's incapable of love.
So to her,
I don't know if it is a con though, but like she tells him you're not capable of love, but he tells her you should know that I have feelings for you, and it's like he's insulted when she says that.
Yeah,
but
he does get
is this
hurt.
true or is it not true?
Yeah.
Like, are you capable of love? I mean, I guess she feels like he's not because he turns into this beast and he takes souls and that's his job.
She basically caught on to that and she was like, oh my God, I can't believe I was so stupid. Like, you don't love me for real. You were just trying to get me to give up my soul to you, you know? And they have a fight, and he doesn't come back to see her for 30 years. And that's where we end up at the beginning of the book in 2014. So there are snippets in the book where she refers to the fact that she hasn't seen him in 30 years.
She dressed up one time expecting him and he didn't show up.
Yeah.
And that actually really hurt her.
Yeah, it did. It hurt her a lot because, well, she was trying to act like it hurt her because she was trying to show him how well she was doing, even though, despite the fact that he, like, really fucked her over. But actually, I think she was just hurt that he wasn't there. Like, he didn't show up for their date. We start off the book in March of 2014, and she has not seen him in 30 years. We don't find out until later about the fight in New Orleans and the reason for why he hadn't seen her in 30 years. The second relationship that we want to talk about is her relationship with Henry Strauss.
Yeah.
So Henry is a character that she meets, like, pretty early on in the book, right?
It was like...
Was it
like halfway?
Okay, so halfway into the book, she meets a guy named Henry Strauss, and for some reason, so she steals a book from the bookstore that he works at, and she reads it, and it's like, it was like the Odyssey, but in Greek.
But in Greek, yeah.
Yeah.
She also learns, like, 5 languages or something.
Yeah,
she actually went into this not knowing how to read. Because she wasn't allowed to be taught as
a girl. Yeah.
And she meets someone in Paris, and he inspires her to learn.
And then from there, she learns like 50 million languages, and it's like
I don't
the
remember.
most
it was
interesting
like a ton
woman
of
in the world.
languages. She's like, I know all this.
Yeah, like, and she's reading Homer like in ancient Greek, right? Like not even like Greek, like she was reading it in ancient Greek, and that was kind of the ploy of how she meets Henry. She goes into this store, she steals this book in Greek, and she walks off and she finishes it, and then she comes back to the store thinking he doesn't remember her and tries to return it for another book. And he was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you stole this book."
Yeah.
You know, I tried to run after you. And then he was like, and who fucking steals like an old ass book in Greek anyway?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, if you're gonna steal any book, why would you steal this one?
Yeah. It says like the 3 words that basically just, I mean, it tugged at my heartstrings. He was like, "I remember you." And this is the first time in 300 years that someone remembered her. And she was just like, what? Like how?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a suspicion, like I definitely had a suspicion as to why Henry was able to remember her. It doesn't actually come until later. So they actually start dating, and
she's also trying to figure out at this point, why does he remember? What makes him so different?
And they started dating. He basically welcomes her into his apartment and was like, "This is your home now." And the funny thing is, again, Henry looks a lot like Luke.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, they're kind of parallel, but also polar opposites, because Henry's disposition is very different from Luke. Henry is gentle. He's actually kind of unambitious. Like he's
very unambitious.
Yeah, he started a PhD and then just never finished it.
Yeah, there was just a lot of emotional turmoil in Henry, and he gave up a lot.
Yeah.
I called it Henry's sad drinking game.
Oh, okay.
This is Henry.
I mean,
and his...
should we also? Oh yeah, it was a list that made us cry,
yes!
right?
I cried so hard. Guys.
Okay, but like, let's be honest, guys. Like, but with like the trauma that Julia and I have had in our lives, like we could make up a sad drinking game and probably beat all of you at it too.
This made me hurt so bad. And Henry is just, I don't know, he's a little bit weepy, a little bit mopey, but he's sweet and he's gentle.
Yes.
And,
well, I found him a little bit annoying.
I found him a little bit annoying too.
Yeah.
And there was just like, I think he focused too much on his trauma and the way his family treated him because, you know, he was kind of unambitious, and his older brother was, you know, super ambitious, knew exactly what he wanted to be when he was like 7 years old.
Was he like a lawyer or
a
doctor? A doctor, okay.
And then he was always like, "What are you gonna do, Henry? What are you gonna do?" And his younger sister is just so free-spirited and so open.
And she's the youngest, so she basically got to do whatever the fuck she wanted. some sort of like art recruiter or something like that.
Yeah. I think she was an art recruiter, but she was always trying to get him to be less uptight, and it's just he never felt like he could be himself without people telling him he should be something.
Yeah.
So this is Henry's sad drinking game. Take a drink every time you hear you're not enough, not the right fit, not the right look, not the right focus, not the right drive, not the right time, not the right path, not the right future, not the right present, not the right you, not me. There's something missing. From us. What could I have done? Nothing. It's just ... Who are you? I didn't think we were serious. And this is kind of him going through a dialogue of him between a relationship. Being rejected, because he was also rejected by this female, Tabitha.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were serious. You're just too sweet, too soft, too sensitive. I just didn't see us ending up together. I met someone. I'm sorry. It's not you. Swallowing it down. We're not on the same page. We're not in the same place. It's not you. You can't help who you fall in love with. You're such a good friend. Friend zoned a lot, I'm sure he was. You're going to make the right girl happy. You deserve better. Let's stay friends. I don't want to lose you. It's not you. I'm sorry. So that was basically how he talked to himself all the time.
Yeah.
But he also, I don't know how much you want to segue into Henry's.
So Henry's a little weepy. He's a little bit annoying. He like worked on a PhD and then gave it up, and he's been working at this bookstore like literally forever. He runs it for this old retiree who's never there. She's traveling the world, living her best life. So he has a relationship with Tabitha.
Yeah.
And then he proposes to her, and she's like some sort, I don't know, was she like a model, a real model, or was she like...
Didn't she act?
Okay.
She acted in like small plays.
Oh, like, okay, like off-Broadway and stuff?
stuff.
Okay, so she was an actress, and he falls in love with her, and he proposes to her, and she basically says no.
Mm-hmm.
And some of what Henry's sad drinking game that Julia just read was basically what she had said to him.
Yeah.
Even though they had been together for like 2 years or something like that. So, so then Henry like goes off on this binge. He gets really drunk, and he, I think, was about to kill himself. Like he was about to jump off a building, like jump off the roof or something.
Uh-huh.
And Luke appears.
Yeah. Why, hello there.
Yeah. Hello.
He just swoops right in.
Yeah, he swoops right in. So actually Henry did jump off the roof. But Luke swoops in, what if I can help you out?
Yeah.
Right? And so their description of when Luke meets Henry is not too different from when Luke met Addie, except it was raining and Henry was drunk, but he could tell that, first of all, this guy isn't getting wet and he's sitting in the rain, right? And so he kind of knew what was off, but at that moment he was just like wallowing so hard.
So much wallowing.
He was wallowing so hard. He basically just made a deal with Luke as well.
He was just like, fuck it, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about the terms because, I mean, he got a raw deal.
Yeah. His idiot ass. So he basically makes a deal.
Yeah, he wanted to be loved.
He wanted to be loved. And so we find out later that Luke tells Addie that ever since his deal with Addie, he has never ever given anyone unlimited time ever again.
Because he said, this is a shit deal for me.
Yeah.
Because I gotta visit this bitch like every 10 years.
And
she's not giving up. She's not giving up. She's so persistent.
Yeah.
She just keeps living.
Yeah. So fucking Henry's dumbass.
Oh. Random thought though.
Okay.
If I were to cast Henry.
Okay.
Okay.
Who would you cast?
And I don't know if it's because of the whole bookstore thing, but I would totally cast the guy from You. Which is
Penn Badgley?
Yeah. I mean, he's got the wavy dark hair, the sharp nose, the jawline, and he could totally be weepy, because he was so weepy as Dan Humphreys in Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I was like, God dang it. And so I'm reading it, and I can't imagine anybody else besides him.
Okay, so Penn Badgley, Henry Strauss, make it happen.
We're casting this whole entire, and I'll tell you who I really want as Addie at the end.
Okay, all right, cool. So if you're still here and still watching us, give us your casting calls about who you think you would cast after we've already described them to you. Although we're a little bit biased. Like, I thought Henry was so annoying, and I kept cheering on Luke and Addie. I don't know, maybe I just like
I was also cheering on Luke and Addie because she said they fit like a piece of puzzle, and I'm like, why can't you love the devil?
Yeah. So, and then the whole time I was just like, oh my gosh, Lucifer, like the show Lucifer.
Yeah. That's
like,
how we would cast. That's how we would cast. Except I feel like he's a little bit older.
Tom Ellis is older, or Luke in the book is older?
Tom Ellis is older. Like, I would want to cast someone just slightly younger.
A little bit younger.
No offense to you because you're also hot, but I think
You're very hot.
Yeah. He plays an amazing Lucifer on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, I can't imagine anybody else but him because he actually embodies that character really well.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of sly. And he's charming.
But he, like, has a soft heart, and you see that a lot on the show. So, definitely, I feel like Luke has a heart. Like, I think he's capable of love.
He's just got a job to do.
Yeah. Anyways, Henry's dumbass
Yeah.
makes a deal to be loved, but he makes a deal for only a year.
And his little thing is a watch, right?
Yes. So
he's got a watch that he can't take off.
Yeah.
That ticks down his time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's not a regular watch. It ticks down the time, and Addie, like, we watch as Addie just, like, slowly unfurls all of these things throughout the book. Like, all of this doesn't, like, I mean, this book is 400 pages long or something. So, like, you slowly get, like, clues and breadcrumbs about everything that's happening. Like, she first notices the engagement ring and the watch on his nightstand, and then, you know, slowly later on. And then she, like, notices how he's always just, like, super impatient, and he's always, like, really finicky and, like, restless.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have enough time. It just felt like he was trying to pack in as many experiences as possible.
Yeah, and this, like, comes up first when he takes her to go see a movie, and she's like, well, I've already seen this movie, but I don't mind watching it with you again. And he just completely freaks out.
Yeah.
And he is just like, well, I can't waste time, you know, on a movie that you've already seen. And he fucking freaked out. I was just
and
like,
then at that point when I read that,
guy?
I was like, dude, chill out. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't put it together that he was rushed for time.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a suspicion that there's like a time element to it, but we didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, I thought he was just annoying.
I thought so too.
I just thought he was being annoying. I was like, bro, stop it.
Yeah.
Addie's got all the time in the world. She could totally watch this movie a million times if she wanted to.
And that was the thing that was also really, really clever, right? Like, V. Schwab puts a character who has unlimited time and a character who only has a year left together, and it's just like, let me just fucking, like, put this together and see how the cookie crumbles, and like watch the chaos ensue, right?
Yeah.
So
I think he also takes her to that underground nightclub.
No, she takes him.
Oh, she takes him
because he's like, show me something I've never seen before, you know, because he's like, I've lived in New York my entire life, and you know, I've seen it all. Yeah. And she's just like, well, bitch, no you haven't, first of all, because I've lived for 300 years and I haven't seen it all, right? And so she's intrigued by all of this, and by she finally finds out that he made a deal, and that is the reason why he remembers her.
Yeah. And she confessed her story first.
Yes.
She was like, well, I have something to tell you.
Yeah. And then afterwards he was like, well, I made a deal.
Well, I too made a deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
In her mind, she's like, oh my god, fuck you, Luke. I bet you never intended for this to happen, for two people who made a deal to meet. And, you know, now I can use this to my advantage as well. So she's developing a relationship with this guy, but then she realizes they go to like this art installation, this art show, and one of the installations was you can like basically write on the wall and just with paint, and the room is just completely filled with people's writings, with people leaving a mark. And she's sad because as soon as she tries to write her name, it disappears, you know. Well, Henry takes her hand and dips it in paint and writes on the wall, and it stays.
Yeah.
And that is the beginning of how she realizes that through Henry, she can use him as a means to tell her story. Mm-hmm. So he starts writing down all this, everything that she tells him about her experiences in the past and everything that happens. And it's like he's writing furiously because he also doesn't have much time left as well. So there's like this element of, I want to get my story out, but also you don't have that much time left, so like we're going to have to do this quick. And at the same time, he's telling her, okay, so do you want to talk a little bit about Henry's deal and how it...
Yeah, I was just going to say, we should probably talk about his downfall too.
Okay, yeah.
So his deal was to be loved by everyone. And his problem was when he meets someone, they actually do just immediately love him. They like him and they think he's amazing. But what they feel when they see him is what they want. So he'll meet, I think one of the first few things was he met a barista and they hit it off and he was like, well, this is great. She really likes me. And then he asks her, I think he had a suspicion that something was off, and so he asked her, hey, what do you see in me? And she was like, well, I see, and I don't remember exactly what she described, but she said things like, oh, you're so outgoing, and you're so adventurous, you're so fun. And then he was like thinking to himself, wait a minute, I'm none of those things. And he just doesn't feel like the love is genuine, so it makes him a little bit sad. So everywhere he went and every person that he met, he would ask, what do you see in me? And if they don't describe something that he felt was genuinely him, then he'd actually kind of cut ties and not actually develop a relationship with them because he was like, well, they don't actually like me for me. So it actually made him feel even lonelier with this curse or blessing or deal, whatever you want to call it. And actually, the PhD program that he was in, the professor that actually told him to quit came back and was like, oh my gosh, Henry, I've been meaning to talk to you and call you because we want you back. You know, you're amazing, you're great. And, you know, these are the things that they want in him. And then he realized, like, you're the one that kicked me out. And I actually don't want to be in that program. I don't want to spend time doing something that I'm actually not good at.
Yeah.
And you know this.
Yeah. So basically a part of his deal/curse is that when people see him, they only see the attributes that they most want in a partner.
Yeah.
So they actually don't see him, right? So it changes with every person. Like his best friend B, who is, so like, she sees a great friend and a good listener.
Yeah.
When he, like, in fact, inside, he knows he's actually not a great listener. Like,
yeah,
he forgets shit all the time that she tells him.
Yeah. He actually doesn't listen.
Yeah, he
He's
really
so
doesn't.
into himself sometimes.
Yeah, he is really into himself. And then he is also bisexual, so he has a relationship with his other best friend, who they had a relationship, and then they became friends. I can't remember his name. Robbie. Yeah. Okay. And Robbie was the one who broke up with him.
Yeah.
Robbie broke his heart, actually.
Yeah.
But then after the curse, Robbie is like in love with him and like madly in love with him, confronts him in the kitchen, like tries to kiss him and like tries to, you know, restart the relationship, and he's just like, no, you don't know this, but what you're feeling is not real, you know?
Yeah.
And from then on, Robbie becomes like a point of contention because he hates Addie. Like,
he hates anyone who gets too close to Henry.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. But I actually, while she was talking about his deal, I found the section where this was when Henry realized that Addie was unaffected by his curse.
I think I had marked that too. It's a great spot.
So like Julia said, everyone Henry meets, he asks, "What do you see in me?"
Mm-hmm.
So this is after she stole the book, and then she comes back and she offers to buy him a cup of coffee to make up for the fact that she stole the book. They're sitting there, they're drinking coffee, they're making small talk, and then he goes, "What do you see?" he says, "when you look at me." She's like, "I see a boy with dark hair and kind eyes and an open face." And then he frowns. We didn't know why he frowns, but he frowns. That's page 140.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And then he frowns a little. "Is that all?" "Of course not," she says, "but I don't know you yet." She purses her lips. "Yet," he echoes, and there's something like a smile in his voice. She purses her lips, considers him again. And then finally she goes, "I see someone who cares," she says slowly, "perhaps too much, who feels too much. I see someone lost and hungry, the kind of person who feels like they're wasting away in a world full of food because they can't decide what they want." So Henry stares at her, all the humor gone out of his face, and she knows she's gotten too close to the truth. So at this point, when we read this, you're kind of just thinking like, oh, Addie's just really great at reading people, and I think that kind of just scared Henry. We don't know at this point that Henry's actually taken back because he just realized she's unaffected by his curse.
Yeah. So she's trying to figure him out, like, why can you remember me? And he's trying to figure her out, how is it that you know, or how is it that you have honest opinions about me?
Yeah. The second part of the book focuses a lot more on her relationship with Henry, and then his strive to do everything that he can with the little time that he has left. And I thought it was like beautiful the way V.E. Schwab kind of just wrote it as the kind of person who feels like they're wasting away in a world full of food because they can't decide what they want. So he's like, I only have X amount of time. Mm-hmm. There's so many things I want to do, but also, what do I really want to do?
Yeah, what do I really want? So, I mean, he does have very little time, but even before the deal, he was settling into the bookstore. There's so many things that he might be able to do, but I'm just gonna be at the bookstore because it's comfortable, and he doesn't want to be too scared.
Yeah. So Addie was really great for him because she actually like pulls him out of that comfort zone and makes him do things. But because she knows so much and has seen so much, she's able to introduce like novelty into his life, which, and the thing is like, okay, bro, you have like a year left and you've never even left fucking New York.
Yeah. I mean, the things that he could do with these powers, if he didn't care so much, like, he could have been anybody, and everybody would love him. He could have been anybody. He could have been a rock star.
Yeah. And literally, like, if you think about it, like, okay, so you might say, like, oh, he works in a bookstore, so he probably doesn't have a lot of money. This guy could literally charm himself into getting free food and free boarding if he ever traveled. Like, he could talk anyone into giving him anything. Yeah, he could just
be like, hey, do you think I can slip on this flight? And they'd be like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, he could. So,
and weren't there like little swirlies in their eyes? There were like clouds and swirlies in their eyes when they were under the trance.
Yes. So when they're under the trance, you can literally see their eyes like start to blur or something, and so he knows that they're under the trance. So he didn't see this from Addie's eyes, first of all, and then when she kind of like called him out a little bit, then he was like, "What the fuck?
Wait a minute."
Yeah. But then like. So honestly, I don't feel bad for Henry at all. I feel like he's such a bullshit person because he's like all whiny and shit, but like he only had a year left to live and he didn't travel at all, didn't do anything basically. No. Still working.
He could have had anything.
Yeah. He stayed in New York.
Yeah.
And so Addie kind of brings him out of that and starts making him experience a few more things, and then, so obviously, at this point, she's gonna try to save him somehow.
Yeah.
So
she does learn at the very close to the end of his time. I don't think he tells her right away.
No, he doesn't.
It was towards the end where it was just like a month left or something? Or
no, well, I guess maybe a month, because, like, it was based on the watch, and she said, like, it was at 10 and now it's at 11 or something. And so they had, like, a month left to spend with each other when she
I imagine
out.
It was, well, I mean, the way I interpret it was there were 12, so each one was a month.
A month, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I think he didn't tell her until towards the end, and then they were cramming shit together. She's telling him the story, he's writing it furiously, and they're doing stuff, and
and like they also deal with the fact that Robbie's friends can't remember her. So every single time they meet her, it's like the first time they met her, and then she has to go through the whole thing again where B tells her she has a timeless look. And all this stuff.
And then Robbie hates her all over again.
Yeah.
And it's like all dramatic because he's also into theater. He does like off-Broadway stuff. And so he's like, oh my gosh.
He's super dramatic too.
Who is this girl?
Yeah. And then another problem they deal with is like not only they can't remember her every time they meet her. There was a scene where they were at B's apartment for a dinner party, and they all decided they were going to go up to the roof to smoke, and she decides to leave because she knows when they come back, they won't remember her.
Yeah.
And then she would have, even though she spent the entire night with them and she had so much fun with him, at that point, like, her heart kind of just sank because she knew, like, as soon as they left, they were not going to remember her. And, so, like, it goes into the struggle of, like, her now finding a home in a relationship, but how does she deal with, like, everything that comes into that relationship, you know? Like,
having to introduce yourself again and again, and then having to tell the same stories, and and I don't know, I think it would just be really lonely.
Yeah, it's and she at this point knows everything about them because she's met them so many times already, you know, and she tries to use that to get them to like her even more, but she knows at the end it's kind of a futile exercise because they're not going to remember her anyways, you know. Yeah, so
well, this was a really cool, I don't know if you remember this part, I'm sure you do, but B studies art history, I believe.
Yes, that's her PhD.
Yeah.
She was like, throughout the whole book, they were like, she's struggling to find a dissertation.
Yeah, she's struggling to find a dissertation, and then she actually finds something. She's going through all these books at the bookstore, and she makes this connection that there is some sort of connection between all of these pieces of artwork, and they're all inspired by Addie. And she said there's a woman, a muse, traveling through time, and she says she finds that there's a connection between these 7 stars and 7 dots and all of these different pieces of art that have some sort of connection. And she said that they must be inspired by this woman, an unnamed person that travels through time. Mm-hmm. And then everybody just tells her she's crazy.
Yeah.
And she was like, but seriously, look at all this. Guys. And she shows them all of these pieces of artwork, and Addie's just like...
the background, like, just, oh. And then she's, like, trying to cover her face because of her freckles.
Freckles here. And she's like, yeah. And I think her professor tells her, or...
her professor is like, girl, you crazy.
Yeah. And then I want to say, I don't know if this was before or after Henry knew about Addie's story. And somebody had put her down and said, don't do that dissertation. You're going to be laughed at.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you're right, B, you're right.
I know, B, you're not crazy.
You're not crazy.
And so, like, actually, what V. Schwab does is at the beginning of every part, right? So there's a lot of chapters, but there's 7 parts to the book. And at the beginning of every part, she features a piece of art that was inspired by Addie.
Yeah. At first, I didn't know what the heck it was.
Yeah, I was like,
what is this random piece of art?
Yeah, exactly.
And then towards the middle, I was like, oh my god, let me go back.
And so, and the thing is, like, the reason why, okay, but to be fair, the reason why they dismiss B, though, is because not all of the art features an actual person.
Yeah.
Some of the art is just like a sky with the 7 stars in the arrangement of her freckles, or something like, or
like a sculpture.
Yeah.
Of an object. So it wasn't always a person.
Yeah. But B did notice the connection, and she was trying to make that her dissertation, but she was getting, like, dismissed for it.
Yeah, no one believed her.
No.
I was like...
Poor B. I love B.
Poor girl.
She's funny. Addie is now adamant that she has to find a way to save Henry. And, there was just... She talks to Luke. Luke finally appears after 30 years, and she talks to him, and Luke basically just laughs at her and says... Do you really think that it was an accident that you met Henry? No, bitch. I put him in your path. You know? And this was, again, basically another way for Luke to taunt her and to, like, really break her down and destroy her.
Yeah.
Which I think was, I mean, I like Luke. I thought she was a girl.
But
like,
he's got a job to do, and also, he can have her forever.
I guess that's like maybe his intention is just to break her down so he can have her forever or some shit. Like,
and Luke does have the power to manipulate people as well. There were parts of the book where he comes to visit.
Oh yeah.
And he also puts people in trances and they just do his will.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to put these two in the same path is very, very easy for him.
And look, Luke and Addie's relationship is super toxic.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I was rooting for her, but it is kind of toxic.
Like, I would never condone this in real life.
She wants excitement, though.
But like in this book, you find yourself rooting for their relationship, even though it's super. Maybe we just have issues. We do. We already know that.
Yeah.
But so basically, what ends up happening, and this is, you know, huge spoiler alert. She does save him, and what she does is she tells Luke, "Look, I will be yours, you know, if you release Henry of his deal."
And she words her deal because she has learned from him, I will be yours for as long as you want me.
Yes.
So there's the kicker.
Yes. When you're reading the part where she's desperately trying to save Henry, you don't even notice that that's what she said.
Yeah.
At the very last moment, when Henry knows that it's his time to go, they go to the rooftop and they have like their last farewell, or as Henry thought, their last farewell. He thinks, like, you know, he's just gonna keel over and die.
Yeah.
And he starts to fade. Like, he starts to faint. But she, like, whispers something in his ear. Do you remember what she whispers? It's like, remember me or something like that?
Promise me you'll remember me.
Okay.
And then he says something like, I promise.
Yeah, so she's like, promise me you'll remember me. She knows what's gonna happen. So he fades, but then he wakes up. He wakes up in his apartment.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck happened? Like, how am I still alive? So she basically traded herself for Henry. Because when you're reading about Henry and Addie's relationship, you start to see that Luke does get jealous.
Yeah.
He makes like very snide comments about his look-alike.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, go back to your love for however long you have left with him. Yeah. He is jealous. So she figures this out. And so she trades herself for Henry's life. And we fast forward a little bit, and basically Henry has taken Addie's story and publishes it into The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Which is the book we're reading.
Yes.
Or have read.
Yes. And so it becomes
full circle.
Yeah, it becomes majorly popular. And the last scene we see is of Addie and Luke in Paris? London,
I think?
In London.
Yeah, London.
So the last scene we see is Addie and Luke in London in a bookstore as Addie like picks up the book and smiles at herself for being able to tell her story. And Luke's like, oh, you're such a clever girl, you know, you finally left your mark, blah, blah, blah. And he's kind of taunting her in a way. And then he walks off, and then she smiles, and she's like, well, you didn't realize that I made the deal for as long as you want me. And so she has now made it her life's mission to get herself out of her deal by terrorizing Luke to the fact where he's so exasperated with her that he basically doesn't want anything to do with her anymore.
Yeah. So her plan is to be the worst fucking girlfriend on earth to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang!
I know. So
and she has that ambition too, because she was so persistent in jabbing him back.
Well,
and
she
living
can
for
do
300 and
it.
something years. She was like, well,
I'm gonna fucking do it.
I
like,
will make
try-
you rue the day.
Yeah, you trying to test me? Hell has no theory, bitch.
She was like, oh, just you wait.
Yeah. And so she's basically, her goal is just to be the worst girlfriend ever until he breaks up with her.
He releases her, and like,
how relatable is that?
I was gonna say, like, I'm sure there are many people out there who just decided to be the worst partner ever so that they wouldn't have to be the one to break up with the other person. So
yeah, so that's super relatable. Only now, like, V. Schwab has taken it onto a cosmic scale. So
you go, girl.
Yeah,
you go, girl.
So that's the story, and I asked Julia when I was reading it, like, would you rather... So, what would you wish for, first of all? And then secondly, if you were in Henry's case, would you really want to know, like, the day that you're gonna die?
See, Henry just made such a shit deal. Like, I would have asked for more than a year.
Yeah.
Like, I would have picked Henry's deal if he'd asked me for more time. 1 year is just too short. I'd maybe go for 10, because you can't have a lifetime.
Yeah.
Of what he got.
Well, and the interesting thing about both of their deals is even though they made like completely different deals, the end result was the same, and that was just like loneliness.
Yeah.
Like one person could not find true love, and the other person just couldn't find true love because they couldn't even be remembered.
Yeah.
They
were just completely. Both scenarios leave you very lonely.
Yeah.
But then what could go wrong?
Yeah.
There's always something that goes wrong. I think he also talks about all the other deals that he's made with all of these actual real life artists. And he talks about random things that, oh, well, in that deal, it was worded this way.
Yeah.
And so...
He does at some point out, like, the fact that the wording is very important. Yeah. And he hammers it into her quite a few times to the point where finally that was why she made the deal that she made at the end of the book, was because he kept talking about wording, and he kept like kind of flaunting how he tricked this person or that person into selling their soul.
Why would anyone trade a lifetime of talent for a few years of glory? Luke's smiles darken. Because time is cruel to all, and crueler still to artists. Because vision weakens, voices wither, and talent fades. He leans close, twists a lock of her hair around one finger, because happiness is brief, and history is lasting, and in the end, he says, everyone wants to be remembered. So that's another jab. The words are a knife cutting swift and deep.
It's kind of like, Luke, if you love this girl, like, why do you keep doing this shit, Like,
Toxic. Here's another person where it was Joan of Arc, a soul for a blessed sword, so she could not be struck down. But she was, Addie frowns. But not in battle. Luke's smile goes sly. Semantics may seem small, Adeline, but the power of a deal is in its wording. She asked for protection of a god while it was in her hands. She did not ask for the ability to keep hold of it. So that's how tricky he is.
Yeah. So, like, if you're gonna make a deal with the devil, you need to, like,
have a lawyer read it over.
Yes.
And make sure that, well, I'm sure he'd find a way. He would find a way.
I'm sure of it, too.
So maybe just don't make a deal with the devil. I mean, yeah, he had some, like, he had a family life that pressured him a lot, but, like, It wasn't that bad.
It's like, was not bad.
He just took it harder than he...
Well, they
Everybody's
said a
different.
few times in the book that he was just a boy who had too many feelings, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he just felt things too deeply.
Yeah.
And basically couldn't handle his feelings. And basically, Henry needed a therapist, like a good therapist. He did not need to deal with the devil.
No, he did not need to deal with the devil. Let's do a...
So she writes, and this is like at the beginning a little bit. So Addie is sort of just realizing how maddening being forgotten can be. And she goes, being forgotten, she thinks, is a bit like going mad. You begin to wonder what is real, if you are real. After all, how can a thing be real if it cannot be remembered? It's like that Zen koan, the one about the tree falling in the woods. If no one heard it, did it happen? If a person cannot leave a mark, do they exist? And that, I felt, was so poignant because it's actually really true. Like, if you can't be remembered, then do you ever even really exist at all? You know?
If you can't leave a legacy, like children
or you know, art,
or a book, or...
Yeah. And I know, like, it really killed Addie because she herself was an artist. Like, she sketched and she drew all the time. So the fact that she couldn't draw anymore was really, like, I know that was, like, really heartbreaking for her as well. You know, as someone who likes to write, I can only imagine if I wrote and my words kept disappearing. I don't know if I would have lasted 300 years, honestly. Do you think you would have lasted 300?
No, hell no, I would not have lasted. I mean, the things that she had to do, not having a home, having to, you know, just sleep on park benches.
Yeah, I think for like the first 50 years, she was
very homeless.
Yeah, she was basically homeless. Like, she slept
on
alleys. Like, there was a scene where she slept in an alleyway, and this was during like one of the plagues, and they thought she was a dead body.
Oh yeah, she threw her.
They threw her in a cart with all the dead bodies,
and she had to like climb her way out of it. Jesus, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
very dark.
And so later on, she adapts, and what she ends up doing is meeting just rich men over the years who, you know, have more than one homes, and then they have the summer home and their winter home or whatever, and whatever season they're at, if she knows they're not at that home, she'll basically just break in and stay there.
Yeah, she'd have the code.
Yeah.
And she'd like just go to a penthouse and
basically
stay there.
Oh, she's like the ultimate squatter. That's what she was.
For sure.
So, I definitely, like, the things that this girl did to survive, I don't know. I mean, maybe pushed to the limit, maybe we would be able to do it.
I mean, she also had her vengeance with Luke.
Driving her
to survive, because she was like, no, I'm not giving up. You're not getting my soul because you're an asshole, and I'm just going to keep living.
Yeah.
And I don't care how long it takes.
Yeah. So there's that, but I don't know if I cared for anything ever enough to, like, have vengeance for 300 years.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, okay, we hold grudges, but, like, maybe not that long.
Like, that was, like, the ultimate grudge, dude. Like,
she's like, well, I got time, so
yeah.
Good luck.
I do applaud her for
being creative, her drive.
For 300 years,
she's
like,
so clever.
Just finding different things to do, really making use of her time, you know? Like,
learning all those languages?
Yeah, honestly, if I had unlimited time, I don't know, you'd probably still find me on the couch downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm a Henry.
Different day, same couch.
I just work in that same bookstore.
You would just surround yourself in books.
Yeah.
And also, like, all the times that she'd been through revolutions and wars and seeing as she did mention, like, understanding when she knew that an uprising was coming. Like, she could feel it in the air, the unrest, and, like, she basically sees the beginning of a war, the entire war, the end, and she's seen cycles of them.
Yeah, she lived through like World War One, World War Two, and there was actually a really poignant sentence. I'm pretty sure I can't find it right now, but where she talks about war, and she talks about how it's cyclical. It's always about the same things.
Yeah. Let me see if I wrote it down because I remember. Yeah, really liking that spot too.
Yeah, she basically is just like, oh, you know, humans are dumb. Like there's so many things they can do.
Yeah.
And instead they choose to kill each other. And whoa, was it her or Luke who talks about war?
I think what you just said was Luke.
Okay.
But she does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because in that conversation, he was like, they're dumb, why would they choose to do that? And she was like, well, wouldn't you like that? Because you get to reap so many souls. And he was like, not really.
Yeah, he actually, at that moment, he kind of was just like, no, bro, like, I'm not trying to egg this shit on. Yeah. Like, I just have a job because it keeps happening.
Yeah.
You know? And at that moment, I feel like she really humanized Luke because he talks about reaping souls as though it's just a job. But he talks about it to Addie as though he's not an influencer or a peddler of negative or bad, chaos or chaotic energy or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, you guys do that to yourselves. Yeah. And I'm just here to do my job.
Yeah.
There is nothing like that is influencing you in that way. Like, there is no negative energy out there that's just like making you do these bad things. Like, human nature is good and is bad, I feel like. Yeah. And there are decisions that are made by humans, and we just need to be better at making better decisions.
He also points out the things that she does that are bad as well. Because, she does have to steal, she does have to lie, and there was a part in the book where she breaks into, like, a mansion where the owners were gone, but the workers were still there. And she goes into the chambers of the owners, and she's eating these chocolates.
Yeah.
And of course she can assume it's not going to be replaced, so the owners are going to know that these precious chocolates are gone. And Luke comes to visit her, and she sees firsthand how he trances people to do his will. He has the cook make this wonderful meal, and she's jabbing at him like, I can't believe you're doing this, like, look at these people, like, they're doing your will. And she's, accusing him. I mean, he's doing it. She's pointing out all these things that he does and how he reaps souls. And he was like, well, don't you think the things that you do affect people? You're lying, you're stealing.
Yeah.
Because guess who's going to get whipped for those chocolates going missing?
Yeah, like, who's going to pay for the chocolates
that you who's going to pay for the chocolates? Who's going to pay for the wine that you drank?
Yeah.
It's going to be the staff members, because as soon as they come back home, they're going to see all those things are missing, and they're going to blame the staff, and they're going to be the ones
being punished.
So you affect people negatively in a way. So that was his rebuttal.
Yeah. And, like, I think she actually had a physical reaction to when he said that. I guess she never thought of it that way. She was just thinking about survival. And when he said that, I think she, like, lost her appetite or, like, vomited or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she was like, oh, crap.
Beautiful in its prose. It's great in its plot. There are very, pleasantly surprising twists and turns.
Yeah. Very well written.
Yeah, she definitely, displays a mastery of, leaving breadcrumbs, but not leaving things so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not obvious, and then all of a sudden she connects it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was clever.
Yeah. So, the scene where they're in the coffee shop and Henry asks, how do you see me? I actually, once I discovered what his curse was, I actually had to go back and reread that and actually take it in a different light, because now I know.
Because now you know his reaction and why he reacted that way.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, oh man, why is he so weird?
All in all, this was a really great book.
Yeah.
we like can't espouse how great it is. You're just gonna have to read it yourself. But now you're just not gonna have the anxiety of not knowing how it ends.
Yep.
Yeah, and we kind of like held off on reading it at the beginning because there was just so much hype around it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it was a New York Times bestseller, and then for a while, like, it was super expensive to get on Amazon because everybody wanted it, and I tried to get it at half price bookstore, and they didn't even have any copies because no one was
giving it up.
Yeah, no one was selling their copy.
I'm definitely keeping this one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I mean, I keep all my books though, so that's not even but it's definitely a great read. It's definitely something that you might want to read. I feel like if you read it again and again, you'll find different
I bet you would find something new every time you read it.
Yeah.
The person I would cast.
Oh yes!
For Addie.
I totally forgot about this. Okay.
So the person I would cast, remember we were talking about this, and I was like, man, she doesn't describe her. It's really hard. And I was like, there's one person, I don't know what her name is, that I would cast. And then I said I wanted to, not based on her acting skills, but by her looks, that Dakota, what was her name?
Oh, Dakota Johnson?
Yeah, from
50 Shades?
Yeah. Just because she kind of has like a very muted look, she's got the brown hair. But today, I realized exactly who I would cast.
Okay.
Emma Watson.
Oh, yes!
She's young. She's got a timeless look. She does have some freckles. I think she could dress up to be a boy, dress up to be a girl.
Yes.
She's an amazing actress. And she just moves so fluidly.
Yeah.
And I think she would make the perfect Addie LaRue.
Yes.
So, Emma Watson, if you're listening, please play Addie LaRue.
Thanks.
Because when the movie comes out, we'll be like, ha! I knew it. I knew it.
But, I have to say, though, like, with every single movie adaptation that I've ever watched, it never really lives up to the book.
No, it doesn't. And I honestly don't even know how they're going to flip between past and present so well. Because, like, when you're reading it in your mind, you can picture the scenery. But I feel like if it was a movie, I feel like there would just be so much swapping because each swap was so quick.
It would be confusing.
Yeah, I think it would be really confusing. They would have to, like, merge multiple chapters,
They're going to cut out a lot, basically. Yeah. So,
Westworld did
Tell
it
me,
well.
My brother says Westworld did it well. Oh. I've never watched Westworld.
Westworld is really good, yeah.
The swapping, but that had 10 episodes. I wonder if this would be better as a show.
I bet so. Just because we need more time. You can't fit this in 2 hours.
There is a lot, definitely.
Like, if this was a Netflix show, I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
We would totally binge this.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can make it as beautiful as her writing, because her writing was just amazing.
Yeah.
The feelings that she put through us.
Shit. Yeah, there were, like, scenes that I fucking cried. Obviously, when Henry's little drinking game list made me cry.
And, like, just how he talked to himself, it was just... there's so many tabs where I wrote, I can relate. Like, the sadness in...
That was another great thing about this book, was the dichotomy between Henry's personality and Addie's personality. Yeah. She's, like, tough.
Yeah.
She's, like, out to fucking survive. And she's gonna do everything she can, too. And Henry's over here, like, just in his feelings.
in his
like, woe is me, I don't know what I want to do with my life.
Sit here amongst all the books.
Yeah, let me just bury myself in these books, because I really don't know what I want.
I only have a year left, but TikTok, I mean, just let it keep going.
Yeah. And then you have Luke, who is supposed to be this, like, agent of chaos.
But he's really not.
Yeah. He comes out straight out and says, hey, look, I don't introduce this chaos. It's just here, and I reap the benefits of it.
Yeah.
It's
just my yab.
It's my yab.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of feelings.
Okay.
I got one topic here that I have written down. Do you have any other topics you want to talk about?
I'm good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I think this would be a really fun topic of conversation to have between like friends or family or your significant other. So there is a character in the book, and this was the girl that Addie slept with. She's the artist that painted
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. She painted the sky, and every sky painting she painted was inspired by a person, and it's just basically how she feels about the person and how she would describe them. And she sat with Addie and she painted this, was it like kind of like a tumultuous night sky where it was full of dark and gray and then the 7 stars. And she talked about how, you know, she came about to make her into this painting. And I think a really fun topic to have with somebody, which I'm going to have with you,
Oh, shit. All right.
is how would you paint me as a night sky? Or no, not night. It could be any sky. It could be any sky. It could be daytime, nighttime, storms, clear skies, blue skies, cloudy skies.
I already
thought about this. I already know my answer.
That's a great question. I think I would paint you as a sunset. I think I would use like very earthy tones, and it'll definitely be calm, right? Because you obviously, out of the two of us, are more down to earth and more, you know, like you are the anchor for the people in your life, right? So like you kind of calm things down and you kind of like anchor everyone, no matter what situation or how they are as a person. So I'm definitely painting a calmer sky, definitely earthier tones, but I am going to have to use a little bit of red because you got that little fire in you. And like I've seen it around, especially when Sid riles you up, and then you're over here just like, let's just fuck shit up, you know. So that's why I chose a sunset, because using a sunset means like things are calming down or it's going down, but at the same time, that's the time when like colors are the most vivid in the sky. Like you have your yellows, you have your oranges, and then you have like that bright red in there. And I think that's you. Like even though on the surface like you're very calm and centered, like you got a little bit of a spitfire.
A little bit of spitfire.
A little bit, and it comes out. So
everything went all echoey.
Oh,
it's okay now.
Okay, thanks, brother,
Thanks,
for
brother.
that.
Okay.
That's our unofficial producer.
But how I would paint you?
Okay.
I would paint you
Lord.
as actually a very sunny sky. So it would be really bright and very blue, and you would have streaks of white cloud. But mostly blue with some streaks, and then I think while we're streaking into the cloud, I would put in a few grays, just like brewing, like shit's about to happen, but you don't know if it's gonna happen or not. Like, is she going to storm or is she gonna clear up? I don't fucking know.
Basically Houston's weather.
So that's how I imagine it. Very sunny, very bright, but you don't know what the fuck she's about to do. Is she gonna murder you? Or is she gonna be your best friend? I don't know. So
Basically my life every single day. Like you just don't know what's gonna happen. Look, if it's any consolation, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
So that would be your sky.
How would you paint Sid's sky?
Oh my gosh. How I would paint Sydney's sky.
It's gotta be all like, right? Fireworks and shit.
It's got to. I mean, it's got to be very... I don't know, man. I have to really think about this one, but it's going to be a daytime sky. It's got to be daytime.
Okay. It's chaos.
It's a little bit...
Birds flying.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
don't
plane.
know, that's a good one. I really have to think about it, because Sydney is actually very complex. He doesn't act like it, but he's very complex. Like,
He sends you one word text.
I know.
K.
K. I'm like, blah, 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 paragraph long, K. K. LOL, K.
Remember when you sent me that meme? And I was like, I feel it in my soul when you when you answer me like that. You can't just
Yeah,
give
but
me K.
whenever you say KK, it's like KK.
Yeah.
But K is like K.
Yeah. So use 2 Ks at
Yeah.
least.
Always use 2 Ks.
Yeah, don't use a K with me. Like I feel it inside. It hurts a little bit. So
That time you sent me the text message, you were like, "Is she being rude and curt?" And I was like reading it, and I was like, and you were like, "Is it me or is she being rude?" And
I was like, am I being bitchy or is she being rude?
And I was like, "You're being bitchy because she just didn't put exclamation points in her sentences."
I am that annoying person that puts like exclamation points in everything, even in my work emails. So, you know, I'm like, "Hello, officer, blah, blah, blah," exclamation point.
You're like, "Should I use 1 or 2?
I am the analyst on this case, exclamation point.
I think, hold on. It's coming to me. I think Sydney's sky has got to be sunny with Simpsons clouds, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to have, it's because it's, you know, very animated, with birds, airplanes, and it's got to have a cityscape with a lot of activities.
So a lot is going on.
A lot is going on. There's a lot of activities. People are biking, people driving cars, people are running.
There's a plane in the sky.
There's an airplane, there are birds in the sky, but it's bright and it's sunny. There's a lot of fucking activity happening.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows my boyfriend, he's got a lot of hobbies.
He's got a lot going on there.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
How would you paint Andrew?
Dude, it would just be like calm.
Calm.
I feel like everyone in my life has to be calm because I'm such...
Because you're brewing. You see that gray cloud over there? The streaks of gray?
Like, my therapist has actually told me that I need to, like, channel my passion into sarcastic humor or something else so that I'm not always just so bothered. I literally told her, I was like, I would like to be as unbothered as Andrew is on a daily basis.
Like, everything bothers me.
And then he's just like, that's not happening. All you can do is channel it into
It's
humor.
so funny that he told you to channel into sarcastic humor.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't know that was like a thing to do to
well,
help.
he probably senses that I'm just
You're gonna say something
teeming
anyway.
with sarcasm anyways, you know? So he's probably just like, how about you just do it but with an LOL at the end so that people don't take it the wrong way?
Exclamation point. Exclamation point.
You know? So, yeah, but yeah, so I think everyone in my life has to be calm. My brother is super calm. Like, you've only met him,
For like 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay, yeah, he's like super chill.
Yeah.
When people meet us together, they always think he's the older one because he's so calm and chill.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like I just took all the chaotic energy from everyone around me. And then was like,
your dad's pretty chaotic too, so.
That's true, but I am his spawn, so there's that. Yeah, but I think I would paint Andrew as a night sky.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always quieter in the nighttime, right?
Yeah.
And everything is just, you know, like, I think that's why I'm kind of a night owl, because everything's just
Quieter.
so much more quiet,
Yeah.
right? And being like an introvert, I need to just be with myself all the time.
Yeah. I think I would paint Andrew as a night sky too.
Yeah.
That's my first thought. Like, clear night sky.
Yes.
Maybe a couple streaks here and there.
I don't know. I wouldn't even give him any clouds because he's
Not a single cloud?
No,
What about
because
stars? Would you put stars or just like a dark night sky?
no. I would give him like stars and a full moon,
Okay.
right? But it's one of those night skies where you want to take a walk, but don't do it in Houston because it's dangerous. But it's like a bright night sky with stars and a full moon, and like he's like so wholesome.
Yeah.
Like our therapist is just like this one. This is the fucked up one.
This one right here. Let's focus on her.
Let's focus on her. I think that's paint me as like a blue sky with just brewing. I thought it was gonna be like up in flames, like hellfire or something.
Because you're pretty sunny. I think you have a very sunny personality, and you brighten things up. You're sunny, you're bright, you talk, and you like to interact with people when you do.
Yeah, it's not very often.
But then there's always the brewing. There's the brewing on the side.
You never know.
You never know which way it's gonna flip. Is like a Houston weather. Like, are you about to rain? Are you about to rain? Are you about to storm? Is this about to be a flash flood? Or is it actually just gonna clear up and we're just gonna have a nice day?
Yeah. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know what I'm gonna do. But
so I think that's a fun conversation topic to have. If you're just chilling with somebody and you're like, hey, how would you paint me?
Yeah,
I think it's a very cute topic. Like, especially if you're with someone who know you really well, I think that'd be a really fun little conversation.
Unless they like paint you into some kind of shitty sky, and then then you might argue. So yeah, that was like really interesting. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we pretty much touched everything on my little
on your list
inspiration topics.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got a few others of like I can relate to that.
Yeah,
the hardship.
Yeah, the trauma, but yeah, I mean, we ran a little long. It's almost 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I hope you guys had fun with us, though.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were fun.
Well, we had fun.
We did. Tequila helps. Definitely, if you want to like just sit here and talk to us, like grab a drink. Thanks again for joining us. I'm gonna try to edit this for YouTube. Catch our YouTube in, I guess, a week or so as I try to edit everything.
I don't even know how.
Yeah, but we talked about a lot, so I don't even know what I'm gonna cut out. But so we're gonna try to do, now that I know how to record, we're gonna try to upload our episode, an edited version on YouTube, like maybe a week or two after we stream the live show, just so people can catch it, especially for like the cooking stuff, because then we can put the recipe on there or something.
Yeah.
And for people who missed it or only tuned in like halfway in or something like that, they can kind of just watch the show later on. But thanks for coming here and sitting with us while we do this live and figure out what the fuck we're doing. Oh, he says, or don't want the book spoiled. Yes, so definitely, if you're gonna watch the book reviews and you don't want any spoilers, then at least you can watch it after after you've read the book later on and see our unfiltered opinions of books. And obviously we're not professionals.
No.
So we're just talking about our feelings.
Just girls who like to read sometimes.
Yes. The next book that we're reading is The Midnight Library.
No, we're reading the war book.
I thought we were reading, okay. So we're going to read the war book first?
Yeah, I thought we were going to read the war book and then Midnight Library after that.
Oh, okay. Well,
not that it matters. I have only read 2 pages of
the war book. Yeah. Okay, well, I need to buy the war book. But how about you go ahead and start reading?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start reading because it takes me a while.
So, I'm like a much faster reader than Julia.
I read like 10 pages and then I fall asleep.
She falls asleep doing everything.
I mean,
there's like some narcolepsy going on.
There is a little narcolepsy.
But if I choose to sit down and read something, it'll take me days. So
yeah, I mean, I also don't like sitting still. So when I sit there and read, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go do the dishes.
Yeah.
Or, I gotta go do this.
Whereas I am a major procrastinator and I will just lay on the couch and read if that gets me away from doing actual work. Oh shit, which reminds me, I need to do laundry because I'm out of clothes to it. But, so, okay, do you remember what the workbook is called?
It's called Beneath a Scarlet Sky, a novel.
Beneath a Scarlet Sky. So,
Yes.
it's fiction. You're gonna probably find us reading a lot of fiction.
Yes, it's fiction.
Yeah. You're probably gonna find us reading a lot of fiction just because I don't really like nonfiction.
I like nonfiction, but yeah.
She loves it.
Anna gets bored of actual
Real
people.
life.
And I don't like reading sci-fi because it's just
Too fake.
Too fake.
Yeah.
So we're finding somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between. But
So the books that we read are like basically a compromise. But I think at some point we're gonna introduce guests, and then you or I can take a break and not read, and then just have the guests kind of talk, and we ask probing questions about the book.
okay, yeah.
So we can do that too, and then they can choose what they want to read or not. So, but that will be sometime in the future, whenever. But thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us
Thanks
today.
for hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something or got something from it, and I really
Or at least
definitely
entertained.
Yeah, we're entertained, and definitely I hope we like inspired you to go out and get this book because it is really, really great. And I don't usually say this about a lot of books because I read a lot and some of them aren't that great, but this one is.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like all books are good.
Yeah.
We tried reading something else and I could not. This was book number 2, actually.
It's a good book. Julia doesn't like older books.
I like older books if they were better, I guess. I don't know how to... I don't want to, like, disparage anybody, so we're not going to name any names, but it was really boring.
We tried to read... Wait, what is it? Oh, we tried to read The Plague by Albert Camus, which is a book that I've already read a long time ago in college. And so I was like, dude, this is so totally appropriate. You should read it because we just came out of a pandemic. And
It was supposed to be fitting for the pandemic, but that book was so boring. There was no
action. There was
No
not enough
action.
action for her.
There was zero action, and it was
And
just...
she was just like, why aren't these people acknowledging that there is a plague? And I was like, oh, isn't that relatable though?
Yeah, it's relatable, but there was nothing happening besides people dying. And I was like, is something going to happen? Is something going to happen? And she was like, well, actually, no, nothing's really going to happen.
No, it is. There's
And
like,
it really just ends.
It's really just like this for the entire book.
And you don't learn anything new.
No. But Camus is a great writer, so don't even think that he's not. She just doesn't like older books.
I was like, what is this?
So pick up
I read
The
plenty of
Plague.
older books in high school. All those books are old.
Pick up The Plague and read it at your own leisure because Julia will not talk about it.
No. No, I won't. And, yeah, do it at your own risk. If you need a great book to help you fall asleep.
If you have insomnia
If you
and
have
can't
insomnia,
sleep,
I have a suggestion.
pick up The Plague.
I still haven't finished reading it.
I'm sorry if any of you think The Plague is wonderful or great. We don't mean to offend, but Julia couldn't stay awake. Alright, thanks guys.
Bye.
We'll see you in a week
Yeah, we'll
for
do
our next stream.
We'll
What are
do
we
cooking
doing?
next week, right?
Yeah, what are we cooking? Do you know yet?
Probably katsu curry.
Okay, so we're gonna do a chicken katsu curry. So I hope you guys tune in next week for that.
Yeah, we'll post a grocery list for you guys if you want to follow along.
And hopefully our mics will be working. So, alright, thanks guys. Bye.
Bye.